Okay, so I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video, but I'm going to make my case clear. Brother Casey of Breaking the Habit has been known for spreading heresy, and I believe that it is very harmful to many of the faithful and will soon be a problem. Moreover, that he is a growing YouTube channel and he needs to be called out soon, and that's what this video is for. I want to make a few things clear first off before going into my refutation of him, is that number one, I'm not a sedevacanist. I believe that all the popes since Vatican II are true popes. All the popes that we've had since Peter himself have been valid popes. Also, I do agree with a lot of the things the SSPX says. Not everything, but with a lot of it. Also, I go to a Novus Ordo frequently because it's the only way I can receive sacraments, and it's the nearest church near me, and I have no other way to receive sacraments. So with that out of the way, I'm going to make this video to show that Brother Casey is wrong on so many levels, and he needs to be called out now.
Can we talk about Jesus for a second?
Now, the many things he says currently, okay, it sounds like he starts out the video good, but just wait a little while longer, and you will see that many of the things he says in this video, and he says in the past, were very heretical and false.
Lately, I've been a bit troubled about something. I've interacted with a number of former Catholics, people who left our church for one Protestant church or another, who said it was the best thing that they've ever done in their life. Why? Because they found Jesus in their new church.
Now, looking at this, you think that he's probably concerned about their salvation. You know, they left the church. Well, how are they going to get to heaven now? But that is where everything starts going downhill from here, and the true colors of Brother Casey starts to show, and why I believe he should be boycotted at all times. Just watch.
I wish that I could say I was making this up or there was an isolated experience, but I'm sure that plenty of other Catholic ministers have experienced the same thing. People are leaving our church to find Jesus. Despite the fact that Jesus himself founded our church and that nearly every document we've ever put forward proclaims his life, death, and resurrection as the very center of it all. Even though our Sunday worship, the fundamental act of our community, is proclaiming the Word of God, which is Jesus Christ, and in celebrating the Last Supper, in which we receive him sacramentally. Even though the image of Jesus on the cross is plastered on every wall, tabernacle, altar, Bible, and window that we have in every church, even still, despite all of this, people are leaving our church to find Jesus elsewhere. And in one sense, great. I would much rather people be in love with Jesus Christ in a Protestant church than wasting away in a Catholic church.
Right there. Now, did you notice what he said? He said that he would much rather a Catholic with doubts, who is wondering whether or not the church is true, who might not be feeling Jesus, to go to a Protestant church if he feels more comfortable there. That is heresy. That is wrong. So, all of that time wasted by St. Francis de Sales, all these other great saints, for evangelizing these people is useless, basically, because he says that he would much rather someone go to a Protestant church if they feel happier there than be in a Catholic one. That is utterly ridiculous. No. I mean, you have to be in communion with Rome. If they leave the church, they have a mortal sin on their soul, and they're going to go to hell. I don't think he realizes what he is saying here, but Father's dying, and even in the parts of the New Testament where it says, go out and evangelize. Well, I mean, it was just that bad advice from Jesus? No. You can't. We can't just go and to any church we want. It does matter your congregational affiliation. But you are saying just stupid things here that are completely contradictory to the faith. To outside church there is no salvation, and but still, I mean, when you come to this conclusion that it doesn't matter your congregational affiliation but Jesus, you were going to have people leave the faith.
On the other hand, it should seriously trouble us. A church founded with the sole purpose of proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ to all nations, and not find him here. And I wonder, why is
their family don't address it? See, there's so many things that I believe you're missing here in the video that you don't actually address. Instead, you're saying that you would much rather people go to a different church because they think it feels better than going to a Catholic church. I mean, think about it. Why would someone stay in a church that says, these days say, oh, you don't have to believe? In fact, there are Muslims who want to convert to the church, but priests just say, no, you're already saved, you don't need to convert, and they don't. You see the problem there? That's the problem, is that priests are not teaching that you should be a part of the Catholic Church in order to get to heaven.
when it seems so apparent to some of us, when he is the very reason that so many of us became and remain Catholic, that so many others seem to miss him entirely? My answer? It's because we don't talk about Jesus.
No, you talk about Jesus, but you talk about what I like to call hippie Jesus. You know, the form of Jesus you're talking about is the type of Jesus that, oh, it doesn't matter what faith you are. Oh, you know, you can't criticize one's belief, even if it's an infidel's beliefs or heretical. Oh, you can't do that because it's uncharitable. Because see, that's the thing. Like, you go to REC Congress and all that, they teach Jesus. It's just not the true Jesus, the type of Jesus who will kick people out of the temple for spreading heresy and for, well, selling goods and trading stuff in the temple. Stuff that shouldn't be there. Kind of like what we're dealing with now.
I mean, sure, we say his name plenty in this church. We say prayers to him. But how often does his name pass our lips in social conversations? Do we ever mention him outside of these walls? Do we share our faith? Do we ever tell anyone how much he means to our lives? If we're comfortable talking about our faith at all, and many of us are not, we probably don't use the name Jesus or the title Christ, but rather the generic term God.
I can agree with this. One thing that Catholics do have a problem with is sharing their faith and evangelizing. But again, you are saying this in the fact of, well, we can't, well, it's okay, we should share our faith so that people can come to the church, but it won't actually mean anything for their salvation. It won't make them get to heaven or anything. You know, I mean, that's one of my, this is my biggest gripe for the video, is the reason why people should convert is so that they can get to heaven. Because if one openly denies truth, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, they're in a state of mortal sin. We should talk about our faith more. I agree with that. But we should try to convert their souls so that they could come to the Catholic Church and be saved, so that they can go to heaven.
Talking about our faith in abstract and distant terms. And you know how I feel about that. We don't talk about a personal God, the image of the invisible God, a God with a face and a personality and a lived experience, a God that can be seen and heard and touched. We don't talk about a personal God because many of us don't even have a personal relationship to talk about. Ultimately, That's where our problem lies, a personal relationship. Because God is more than a concept or a good feeling. God is a person who lived, a person who knows our names, a person who talks, a person who loves us and wants us to love him back. But Brother Casey, you say, that's Protestant language. They talk about having a personal relationship with Jesus, not us. You're right. Protestants do use that language more than we do. Because Protestants are much more likely to identify themselves as Christian first and their denomination second, to show greater allegiance to Jesus Christ and his mission rather than the institution that maintains it.
I can kind of agree with where he's coming from. Whenever people ask, well, are you Christian, Catholics sometimes don't know how to respond, and I think that's just utterly ridiculous to me, but I do think we need to put ourselves out there as Catholic. I think we need to say we're Catholic Christians. We need to say that. And yes, we pledge our allegiance to the Institute because guess what? I mean, that's the church Christ founded. We listen to the Pope because guess what? He is our Pope. He is the successor of Peter. He was appointed by Jesus himself. And I think we do need to make it clear that we do have a monarch, a person like the Pope who rules over us and tells us what to do. I think we need to make it perfectly clear that we are Christians, but at the same time make it clear that, we have a head like the Pope. And on the topic of, well, we need a personal relationship, yeah, we do. But the problem is the way Protestants usually portray a personal relationship in a lot of ways is, well, you need to have an emotional relationship with them, like, Pentecostals do, like, you go to their service, they're drunk on adrenaline. I don't support that. I think that's terrible. Or, a lot of times they don't believe in the real presence. None of them do. And maybe they believe in consubstantiation and all that, but we have a personal relationship with Jesus in the sacraments and reading the scriptures. Not, being drunk on adrenaline, not being like, oh, hear me, Lord, and playing all this, rock music, this Christian music or whatever that tries to get our adrenaline up. No, that's not how we should do things. We should preach the gospel. We should pray constantly. We should fast. We should do these things. We should have a personal relationship with Christ in a Catholic way. We shouldn't really take advice from Protestants in how to have a personal relationship because they don't have the same things we do. They don't have valid sacraments. They don't have our prayer life. They don't have a rosary. They don't have all of these things that make us Catholic and have us a personal relationship. But I do kind of see where you're coming from here.
And we wonder how longtime Catholics can leave our church and find Jesus in theirs.
Well, again, it's because priests are not teaching the true faith, and not only that, we have modernists all over the church. We have people who don't actually believe in what the faith teaches anymore. That's the problem. That's why people are going to look for answers somewhere else, is because they don't want to teach the true faith. They want to be politically correct. They don't want to have to get the hands dirty and tell people about hell and that people go to it. And other churches do that. And that's a fact.
Protestants may use that language more than we do, but it's not a Protestant concept. It's the very essence of what it means to be a Christian. Being Catholic is not about the Pope or speaking Latin or beautiful churches or even the sacraments. None of those things matter one bit, not even the sacraments, if Jesus Christ is not the center of everything we do, if we don't show up to church with a personal relationship with the one who saves.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't believe in what the church teaches, that's a problem. And, you need to get that fixed. You need to consult your priest. You need to find the answers within the church. Yes, maybe through the church fathers, scripture, anything. And that is true. I mean, you need to go to church with a personal relationship. You need to pray. You need to keep in mind that you are receiving Jesus in the Eucharist. That is literally Jesus. That is the body and blood of Christ. Okay? That is Jesus himself. And I agree that we do need to enforce this fact.
As Pope Francis reminded us in his apostolic exhortation, The Joy of the Gospel, this is not something required just of priests and religious.